Okay, we're online? All right. Calling the zoning hearing board meeting for Township of Lower Makefield for July 16th, 2024 to order. I know the bench looks thin up here, but we do have a member online and 3 is a quorum, so we're good to go here. First up is a... What?
Oh, Judy's here.
I'm here too. I just got here, Judy Reese.
Okay. So we have 4 board members here today, so to inform all the appellants, majority vote is 3. So just keep that in mind when you come forward, or if you want to change, that changes your view of things and you want to ask for a continuance, you're welcome to do that too. All right, so I guess we'll get going. Speaking of continuances.
I'll make a motion to continue appeal Z2413 to August 6, 2024.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all's in favor, continuing appeal Z2413 to August 6th?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Next up is appeal Z24-14. My understanding is they're online, so let's wait for them to get into the room, and then they can be sworn in, and Adam can read the exhibits in while we're waiting here.
Okay, we have the application as A1, site plans as A2, B1, proof of publication, B2, proof of posting, and B3, notice to the neighbors.
Okay, you can unmute yourself, and they need to be sworn in.
Hi there, good evening.
Would you state and spell your full name, please?
Yes, sir. Brian ROMIG, BRIAN ROMIG.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead and explain what it is you're looking to do.
Yeah, so we recently rescued a puppy from Mississippi back in April, and we want to put a fence in our backyard. And there is it was flagged through the permit process by Dan. There's a manhole on the one side with a sewer. So that's why we are here today, because we're trying to get a variance to build the fence along that side where the easement is and the sewer line. Same model as our neighbors have on the other side. So again, just here to get approval for a fence for a new dog.
Okay, question for Dan here. It's a little hard to read this plan, so is it correct in that the sewer line is parallel to the proposed fence line and it's not crossing it anywhere?
Yes, there's a easement in the back and along the side of the property. It is a storm sewer drainage easement.
So that the line is not, the fence is not crossing the physical line itself, though, it's just an easement?
Correct, yeah.
Dan, do you know how far off the sewer line the fence will be?
I think Brian, do you know? I think you had an idea.
Yeah, it'll be at least 3 feet away from the sewer line.
Thank you.
Dan, are there engineering recommendations for distance for something like this?
No, I think 3 feet is fine. I spoke to the Public Works Director, Derek, who would, need to access this easement, said he has no issues. If changes or repairs required for a pipe, it would be, if it's agreeable, it'd be taken down at the homeowner's expense. Yeah.
So, Brian, did you understand what Dan just said? If for some reason,
I did, yeah.
yeah, you would need to take it down and put it up. All right.
Yeah, it's no problem.
Is there any, so you talked about sewer easement, is there any drainage? Is there a drainage easement too, or is this just sewer?
I think it's like I think they call it a storm drainage easement. Whenever we see that easement on a recorded plan, the storm, I think, indicates the like some sort of drainage easement. So I guess they go hand in hand.
So is there any need for a minimum clearance from the fence to the ground?
I'm not sure. I think we did in the past, was it 3? I just can't touch the pipe, obviously.
No,
But I
I
think-
meant space from the bottom of the fence to grade. Is there any drainage concern here?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Anybody else on the board have questions? Any public comment in the room? And given the lack of light, I would assume that means there's no public comment online. So we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Appeal Z 2414, contingent upon township approval at the time of the fence installation. By township approval, I mean township engineer.
I'll second.
I'd like to add in that it's subject to removal at the request of the township for access, and that it's a minimum of 3 feet off the center line of the pipe. Any comments?
No, that's what should have been added in there originally.
Certainly correct with me.
All right, all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion, appeal carries for Z24-14. You're free to log off unless you want to be entertained and watch all the other appeals.
Appreciate it. Yeah, have a great evening. Thank you.
All right, next up is Appeal Z24-15. Okay, you can come forward, sit down, make sure the mic is on, and get sworn in, and Adam can read the exhibits in.
All right, we're going to have the application as A1, site plan as A2, the coupe model photo as A3, B1, proof of publication, B2, proof of posting, and B3, notice to the neighbors.
Could you state and spell your full name?
Bethany Krebs, BETHANYCREBS.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so, yes, I am, sorry, I'm nervous. I am asking for a chicken coop in a residence that does not meet the acreage requirement due to educational purposes and not for commercial use. Asking for a maximum of 5 chickens, so a smaller operation to account for the lot size. Looking, I think, teaching sustainability in raising chickens and responsibility for some youth programs that I'm involved with, as well as my own children. So I don't know if I can expand upon anything. I think my husband's online as well.
Okay, well, I'm going to, questions from the board?
Well, this is a new one, and I'm happy to have it. Gets boring talking about impervious surfaces.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know really what questions I should have.
I'm gonna be honest.
I'm assuming you're not planning on having a rooster. You're just having chickens.
Mine.
Correct.
All right. Did you speak with your neighbors who abut your property?
Yes, and we put in our backyard is fully enclosed with a fence, and we spoke with our neighbors that align with our perimeter.
And what was the feedback you received?
They were excited. I didn't ask for permission, but they were excited about, so I can't say they were all like, yes, get them. They were excited about having chickens. They said their friends love chickens and were overall positive.
We're going to find out shortly how much they like chickens.
Yeah.
they could be online.
Well, there are
There
the
are
breeds I looked into that are social and low-key, so not, you can get quieter chickens.
So when you say you have a fence, is it like a privacy fence that goes all the way to the ground?
It's an aluminum fence that deer can't, it's narrow, and it's 6 feet off the ground.
So chickens aren't getting
6.
under it, through it?
No.
Anything like that?
No, the fox would be, you know, they're, I guess, the
Yeah.
predator to be concerned about, but
Yeah.
the chickens could not get out of the fence.
And
And they couldn't pop over it.
if we pass this, every board meeting, you have to come with a dozen eggs. You're aware of that, right?
Thank you.
Yes, if you, absolutely.
I'm just,
If,
I just didn't know if you were aware of that. If you read the ordinance, I think it's in there. It may have been removed. Adam, is it in there?
That's the township's got to put that in the, we just enforce it. They have to put it in.
I drive by this building 5 times a day, so
No, but getting back to more serious questions, so you're talking about education.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that? I'm like curious what you mean by that, other than just your family.
Yes, so chicken, they can eat some of your refuse that's like natural, so vegetables, fruits, so that is given to the chickens, and then the chicken poop and their bedding can be composted for, it's called black gold.
It is.
It's really good for gardening, that I've also talked to neighbors about to share this black gold if this all goes, is approved. That's really good for gardening, so it's a really good system.
Now, did I mishear you? I thought earlier you said for educational purposes?
So, yes, thank you. So, I'm involved with Little Snipes, where I go once a week, Snipes Farm.
Yeah.
Where it's between ages 2 and 5 that are really excited about, like a couple homeschooling programs are really excited about the idea of coming over and learning about the composting and the full circle of backyard chickens, and the responsibility will yield rewards as the eggs. So I think it's an exciting way to get the children involved, grounding outside, and learning about, and just thinking about the full circle of using their clementine peels, giving them to the chickens, and all of that. So that's the...
Nothing more from me.
Okay, I have one comment, just because I know the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Prior to my being on the board, there was a house 3 doors down from you that had chickens.
Yes, we
Okay.
did. Well, I just wanted one question. Do any of your neighbors have dogs?
We have a dog,
Okay.
which would feel it out. Maybe he'd help protect the chickens and keep a fox away, or he'd either get protective or need to be kept. They'd be in their chicken run, and he'd, we'd be thoughtful about that. My other neighbor has a dog with an electric fence who's 16, so he's not too enthusiastic.
Well, I will tell you that that is the best looking chicken coop I've seen, and I had chickens growing up, and the coop never looked like that.
Oh, thank you.
It's
Okay.
really
We'll
quite
see. Hopefully
attractive.
it all.
All right, we have public comment online, so let's let them in.
Hi, this is the Reedman resident from next door, the adjacent neighbor.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
would you say your name? I couldn't hear you.
Judith Reedman.
Thank you.
Do you need the address?
Yes,
Swear
Would
and
you state and
address.
spell your full name, please?
Judy Reedman, Reedman.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Oh, hi. We're calling in regards to the letter we received from the township notifying us of the adjacent neighbors having the chicken coop.
We had no idea.
We haven't spoken to the neighbors about it, so we are here to gain more information.
Okay, did you hear the description and the questioning earlier here, or were you offline?
I didn't hear the question.
Okay, so there was, just to recap here, it was confirmed that it was going to be no roosters and that they were looking for 5 chickens. Do you have what other questions would you like to ask?
So the question is, since the neighbor's current fence is an open rail fence with gaps between the rods, it's not a solid fence. What is the protocol to be taken so to make sure no chickens escape or wander past their property onto our property? And we have expansive English gardens and shrubs and all kinds of, beautiful gardens that, are right next door. So since their fence is open, do they plan on putting like a chicken wire across their fence to close it off for the chickens?
Go ahead, yeah, you answer yes,
Okay.
because it's being directed at you.
Okay, hi Christine. I did send you a message about this and would be happy to talk about any concerns. We do have an open fence that chickens can't fit through. They would have a chicken run that would be attached to the coop that would confine them unless I was outside and opened them so they would be free range in our enclosed backyard. If that requires chicken wire near your privacy fence, then, that's something we could be open to, but it's not a,
Oh, it wouldn't be I wouldn't be putting chicken wire on my property. I was wondering if you were putting chicken wire near your fence, since your fence is an open fence.
Ours is a locked fence.
I think I addressed that. Okay. I believe I addressed that the chickens couldn't fit through, but I am not asking you to put chicken wire on your security fence. I said I would be open to it if it was a threat, but I don't think that's a possibility, so.
Okay, so they can't fit through the open space of your fence, is what you're saying?
No.
Oh, okay. The
Um,
other thing is you said there will be no roosters, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And if there is an issue with rodents, who do we notify? Do we call the board, or who do we call with any other questions regarding any rodents or additional?
Well, yeah, if you had any wildlife control issues, you'd call the Wildlife Control Board.
Okay.
I mean, just like you would, right? I mean, that's who you would always call if you had issues with like raccoons or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, we've only had farm animals at our family farm, so we just don't know what the protocols are of having farm animals in the backyard of a residence. So that's what we're trying to figure out. I know we never expressed excitement towards it. That was mentioned, but that was not something we expressed.
Okay. I do want to, and I mentioned this earlier too, but 4 houses down from you, there was a house that had chickens for many years on North Crescent there by Terracedale.
Okay, yeah, that's not adjacent to my property, so I'm not really aware.
Okay.
I have thoughts for mitigating rodents, if it's, needs to be talked.
I don't.
I don't have experience that chickens attract rodents. I mean, obviously, you're going to have some fox snooping around trying to get a freebie, but yeah, I don't anticipate rodents being an issue. But Christine, I do have to tell you, so this zoning ordinance, she's asking for a variance to put in a chicken coop where, because of her acreage, it's not allowed. And to me, it was important to find out how the neighbors felt about it, because the ordinance is there for a reason. So right now is the time, if you're uncomfortable with it, you should express that now or not. But I'd like to hear your level of comfort on it.
Well, I think, any specifics of of the chickens were not discussed. So there is a concern about the open fence and the chickens wandering out and the devaluing of the property. And, we have expansive English gardens that we've spent a fortune on. So I just, have concern about them wandering out of their fence, even though, there is a fence, it's open. So it's a rod, the rods have space between them. So
Yeah, I'm really not asking you to relitigate your concerns. What I really want to know is if your neighbor came to you and you were the arbiter of this decision, would you give her permission?
I'm not, I would prefer it not to be, from my understanding, there's a second variance where it's going to be less than the 50 feet required from the property line.
What, did you say
So-
50 feet?
I don't think
Right,
less than.
there's a second variance saying that it's only 35 feet from our property line.
Can we get clarification on what the distance is?
The coop itself is going to be placed 35 feet instead of 50 feet. So the ordinance
so that's a
has two
second
sections. Well, has more than, but the variant, there's two sections that are being requested for the variance, two variances. One is the 5-acre requirement. The other is that it be placed 50 feet from the property line. This would be 35 feet.
And Christine, could you repeat what you said about the 35 feet?
It's Judy.
Well, I received a letter from the township, and in the township letter, there's a request to locate the chicken coop approximately 35 feet from the property line, where 50 feet is always required. It says it in the township letter we received from the board. So
We can,
The-
can we please?
So if your concern is 30, you want it to be 50 feet from the property line?
From your property? Can I point to this?
Yeah, which property does she live at? Just use the microphone
Yeah,
because we can't hear you
grab the
otherwise.
microphone right there and check to see if it's on. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, this is her property with the gardens. This is my property. So 50 feet, there's room in the backyard, and then the fence, this whole backyard is fenced in. So if it's 50 feet from her house, that is a concern, putting it there.
How would that make you feel, Christine, if at the very least it was 50 feet from your house?
I mean, I'm not, really comfortable with farm animals in the adjacent property next door, but certainly not spending 35 feet instead of the 50 feet too. So
These are beehives those are beehives next to her property on the other side. So it's not a farm animal.
they're not farm
I'm
animals.
not allergic to the hard.
Hey guys, it's Nick Krebs. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Can you just be sworn in, sir?
Sir, would you state and spell your full name?
Yep, Nicholas Krebs, NicholasCrebs.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
So Judy and Christine, what about this? What if we put the coop with the fully fenced in run like on the opposite corner of the property relative to your house? That would give you at least, I'd say probably closer to 75 feet at least. Because obviously we want to be totally respectful and make sure no chickens are going over to your guys' gardens. Agree, you've done a great job in your backyard. It looks fantastic. The last thing we want to do is cause any kind of inconvenience or damage. So if we kept it kind of as far as possible from your property within our backyard and within the fence, and then within the fenced in chicken wire run, I would hope that would help to allay some of your guys' concerns.
So I guess my question is, are you saying that there would be a fenced-in area that they would be in? They wouldn't just be free roaming in your backyard towards the other side with the open fence?
Yeah, we'd be happy to put a run-in to keep them, fully enclosed. And then, listen, I can't guarantee they would never, pop out when we're back in the backyard. But for all intents and purposes, 90% of the time they're going to be within the coop itself. And then every once in a while in the run. But, our first concern is making sure that you guys are comfortable with it and keeping them enclosed. And also, honestly, selfishly, like keeping them alive. I think as Bethany mentioned, there are a few foxes around. And I think somebody on the board mentioned that there were chickens 3 houses down from us. I think that's like 2 houses down from you. And we always joke like they had 10 chickens and that was like 2 years ago and they're all gone. So we know what happened to them. So we want to prevent that from happening to ours. And, listen, if there's any concerns once we got them, we're right here and would be extremely responsive to anything you guys were concerned about.
Is this, I appreciate that, Nick. Now, is there a way to rewrite this so that there would be a clear delineation of where the chickens would be on your property so there's no...
That can all be done as a the board can always add that as a condition to the appeal, which if you've, I don't know if you've heard any other appeals, but we frequently apply conditions to everything that people bring in here, fences, pools, additions, driveways, etc. So.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
Judy, what about?
I know with our family farms and everything, there's a terrible bird flu going around too that they're working on the vaccine for at this time too. So it's just interesting times right now with the farm animals.
So, I'd like to make a suggestion, but before I do, do we have any other public comment?
No.
I think it might make most sense if we can vote on this tonight, but I think it may make more sense for you to get a continuance, meet with your neighbors, and come back in front of the board. You won't have to re-advertise. We'll get you on the agenda sometime this summer. To me, that's my suggestion to you. Otherwise, we can vote on it tonight.
I think unless Christine and Judy have anything else to say, I think we've discussed their concerns unless,
I'm just telling you what I'm hearing is 2 neighbors who aren't happy about the chicken coop.
I agree with you, the board member, what you're saying.
I'm trying to do you a favor here.
I appreciate that. I wish you took me up on that, Christine, when I reached out, but we can discuss this further and not take up any more of your time. Your time.
I was saying,
and do the continuance.
would you like the continuance?
If that's what you're recommending and this is your expertise.
I'm definitely recommending it.
Okay.
Okay. Does anybody else have questions, comments?
I think it's a good suggestion.
I think it's an excellent suggestion.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
so before I make the motion, yeah, you're going to want to meet with your neighbors, both, either you and your husband or just one of you. You're going to want to take over the plan. You're going to really want to make sure that if we're going to approve this, they feel comfortable with it. So I don't know what that looks like, but they sound like 2 reasonable people, your neighbors, and reasonable concerns that they have. So just approach it with the right frame of mind, and I'm pretty sure that you'll be able to get them to see your point of view. So anyway, I make a motion to continue. Before I make that motion, what do we have available on our agenda?
So it'll be a busy meeting if you only want to have one meeting next month.
I think we're still fine with
Okay,
that.
all right, so there'll be
go ahead.
two continuances, 2 new ones, potentially 3.
What date's that, Dan?
August 6th.
Okay. Does August 6th work for you?
Yep.
You're not away?
No.
Okay. I'll make a motion to continue Appeal Z 2415 to August 6th, 2024.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Appeal Z 24-15 is continued to August 6th. Next up is Appeal Z 24-16. If you want to come forward, Adam, can you read in the exhibits?
You're free to go. All right, we have the application as A1, 3-sheet site plans as A2, proof of posting B1, proof of publication B1, proof of posting B2, and B3, notice to the neighbors.
Who's going to testify?
I have Heath Dumack and Brian Brzezinski sworn in at this time, please.
Sure. Would you each state and spell your full name?
Heath Dumack, H-E-A-T-H, last name Dumack, D-U-M-A-C-K.
Brian Brzezinski, B-R-I-A-N, B-R-Z-E-Z-I-N-S-K-I.
Do you both solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sorry. Yes, sir.
All right. Good evening. Mike McGinnis from Begley Carlin here tonight. I have Brian Brzezinski with me and Heath Dumack, who's prepared the site plan. Brian is the subject owner of property located on Edgewood Road. The tax parcel number is 20-34-130. I'm going to give the board a bit of background with respect to how we arrived at this point, because I think it's a bit atypical from most applications. The board might be familiar with this property in that we originally applied almost a year ago to the day with a prior application that was proposing 2 lots on this site. The matter was continued a number of times. Actually, as an anecdote, when we were putting together the testimony last night, the original draft of the testimony was literally 365 days ago. It was July 15th at that time of 2023. Now it was July 15th of 2024. And we're back with a different version of this plan, and one that requires significantly less relief than what we sought originally. The subject property is unimproved. It consists of approximately 1.84 acres, and it's zoned in the R2 district. What we had done before, because we were proposing not any impact, but there were questions regarding the interplay of some of the natural resources on this site versus what we're proposing. A year ago, we had submitted a sketch plan for the township engineer, Remington and Vernick, to review. They issued a review letter. We analyzed that review letter, and then we decided to pull the application. At that time, there were questions with respect to the wetlands. There was a wetlands delineation done, and you can see the location of the wetlands on the site plan before you. There was a question regarding the timing of a potential letter of map amendment that we were considering because of the location of the second structure, a jurisdictional determination. There were a variety of things that we were analyzing and were corresponding with Mr. Majewski and the township on. Essentially, all of this is eliminated as part of this application. So we're now here proposing one single-family detached dwelling on this lot. One of the other substantial changes is at the time of the original application, my client was the equitable owner. Mr. Brzezinski has since moved forward with the acquisition of the property. We are not impacting the environmental resources. We are not disturbing the wetlands. We are not within the floodplain, and we are compliant with respect to any woodlands which would be removed as part of the application. Our design, I would submit, is the actual minimum relief necessary to facilitate the construction of a single-family dwelling. We have 2 variances, which Mr. Dumack is going to address in a moment, but I would point out that one of the variances from a dimensional standpoint is with respect to the front yard setback. you can see on the plan, there's a notation, the front yard setback is 71 feet, whereas the minimum front yard setback requirement is 80 feet. Two things to point out with respect to that. First of all, it is 71 feet from the right-of-way, so it's not actually 71 feet from the roadway, the front of the home. And then secondly, because of the location of the wetlands, which is in gray on the plan, if we were to move the house any further back, we would be encroaching further within the wetland buffer. So we've tried to design this appropriately to honor as best we can the front yard setback requirements while not getting any closer to the natural resources on site. The second component is with respect to how we're measuring our setbacks, and Mr. Dumack will explain that further, but again, not to put too fine a point on it, but I will reiterate, we are honoring and not disturbing any of the natural resources, and the closest that we are to the wetlands, which is the natural resource that is closest proximity to the structure, is 30 feet at a minimum, and that is from the proposed patio, not from the structure, the dwelling itself. I think the dwelling is approximately 46 feet at its closest point. So those are the variances as a summary that we're seeking. We believe that this is an appropriate application and use for the property and truly the minimum relief necessary to facilitate a nice new single-family home on Edgewood Road. So with that, if I could, I'd like to offer Mr. Dumack to provide some brief testimony and explain the site layout, and then I'll have Mr. BREZINSKI provide a colloquy and affirmation of the summary.
Certainly.
So Heath,
Certainly.
you were sworn in, but again, if you can, please state your name for the record.
Yes, Heath Dumack. I'm the president and owner of Dumack Engineering.
Okay. And you hold a license in what?
Engineering, civil engineering, and surveying.
Okay. And you have been recognized as an expert in civil engineering in front of this board and other boards in Bucks County, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm happy to go through Mr. Dumack's qualifications. I would offer him as an expert in civil engineering.
I believe the board is fine with that. Any comments?
I'm fine.
All right. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Dumack, you've prepared the plan that's before the board, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Can you please provide a brief summary of the existing conditions on the property as it's currently situated today?
Certainly, and I apologize. The mic's picking me up this way, or do I
Just
need
take
to?
it with you, if you go up towards the board.
Okay.
Yeah, you can take it out of the stand.
It's been a long day. All right. The lot itself is approximately 68,000 square feet. It is irregularly shaped. It is on the south side of Edgewood Road. There is an area of waters of the U.S. It comes from a culvert that crosses underneath the railroad tracks, runs basically northwest, and connects into the existing creek on the far side of the property. There's a shallow area, which is highlighted in gray, that has been delineated and confirmed by the Army Corps of Engineers as being wetlands. So we have wetlands, we have waters of the U.S., and the dark green areas are woodlands. The lot itself, as I said, is irregularly shaped. It's approximately 68,000 square feet, and we are proposing one single-family home to go with that lot at this time.
All right. And the prior application was proposing 2 homes, and we were looking at a letter of map amendment and other items, and now we're here, as you stated, just for the proposed construction of one single-family detached dwelling, correct?
Yes, sir.
And as you stated, Mr. Dumack, there is a floodplain located on the property, but not in near proximity to the structure which we're proposing. Is that correct?
That is correct,
All
yes.
right. Can you just explain that briefly? The approximate proximity is redundancy, but approximately where the floodplain is located versus our proposed construction.
Certainly, that heavy dashed line that encompasses about a third of the rear of the property is the 100-year floodplain line that was delineated based on the existing flood maps from FEMA. We are considerably away from that line, approximately 50 to 60 feet to the proposed home. The floodplain line actually is based on the true elevations, the topography on the site. So what we've done is we've done a full topographic survey and then overlaid on top of that the flood maps and the study that was done by FEMA, and then we adjusted it based on the actual elevation versus the concept that FEMA had.
Okay. And as you referenced, the dark green area on the site plan are woods on the property, and those would remain as part of this application and the construction moving forward.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
correct?
Yes,
So that would form an additional, what I'll call natural buffer from this property to any of the adjacent parcels. Is that a fair summary?
that is, yes.
All right. And with respect to the wetland buffer, I made a representation at the outset that the minimum wetland buffer is 30 feet on this site. Is that a correct statement for the board?
Yes,
All right. And that is with respect to the proposed patio, correct?
correct.
The rest of the areas, and it's sort of depicted in the hashed lines, we're maintaining approximately, I think at the nearest point, around 46 feet from the wetland buffer to the corner of the home. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And in all other regards, we are not disturbing whatsoever or encroaching any further with respect to the wetlands. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. We are asking for a variance with regard to front yard setback to be 71 feet. Is that right?
Yes,
All right. And that is with respect to the right-of-way, not to the edge of pavement. Is that correct?
that is also correct, yes.
And I made a summary, a statement at the outset that the reason why we are located within the front yard setback is pushing the home any further back would encroach closer to the wetlands. Is that correct?
Yes,
All right.
to the wetland buffer.
All right. Yes, the wetland buffer, correct. So our other variance that we're seeking is measuring from property setback lines. It's my understanding you've done this on occasion. Can you explain why that is how we're handling this application?
Certainly. The way your ordinance reads specifically is that yard setbacks, front, side, and rear, are required to be measured from the edge of whatever proposed buffer there is. In our instance, we are showing a 30-foot wide buffer between the wetlands and the proposed development. There's an existing stream to the west, and we're showing, based on your zoning ordinance, you have an aggregate buffer requirement that allows for some flexibility. For that, we are showing 80 foot between the top of bank of the creek and the edge of our proposed development. Your ordinance says, in a nutshell, that your setback requirements need to be measured from the limit of the buffer lines. So if you have a 80-foot front yard and you have something that has buffer requirements along that front yard, it's whatever that buffer is, then add the 80 feet to it. In this instance, we would have the 30-foot buffer for the wetlands, and I believe your rear yard setback on this zoning district is 45 feet. So 45 plus 30, you're at 75 foot at that point. So what we're requesting is that the yard setbacks be measured from the property lines and not from the buffers.
All right. And even though you have testified already that your opinion is the property is irregularly shaped and is burdened by the existence of several natural resources, just to, again, reiterate, we would not be disturbing or worsening those natural resources in any way with respect to this application.
That is correct, yes.
All right. And even the woodlands, some of the trees that would be removed, that is compliant with what the ordinance allows for in the township. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And is your opinion that in order to build a reasonably sized home on this property, that would necessitate zoning relief?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And therefore, do you have an opinion as to whether the zoning relief that we're proposing is the minimum zoning relief required to move forward with this site?
It is.
All right. This board has, on occasion, required conditions that for properties burdened with natural resources that we would enter into unilateral restrictive covenant or something similar to make sure that these areas are not disturbed in perpetuity regardless of ownership. Is that something that would be agreeable here?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And we'll have you confirm that in a second, Mr. Brzezinski. And then it is your opinion for a homeowner at this property that developing this in this area and maintaining the buffers would allow for reasonable use so that a family could enjoy this property once it's constructed?
Yes, sir.
All right. I have nothing further from Mr. Dumack at this time.
Okay. I'm going to turn over to the board. The very last thing there was going to be my first question, so other board members have questions here.
I do. I have a question. I know parts of Edgewood Road do not have sewer access. Does this property, is this property connected, will be connected to a sewer system, or will they need another?
Can you flip it to the other drawing, Dan? There's another drawing that shows the sewer and the water lines on it, not that one.
I didn't see that one.
We are proposing public water and public sewer.
Okay.
We will be bringing those utilities. I believe water is in Edgewood Road. The sewer is approximately 100 feet down Sandy Run, and we will be carrying it across to us as part of this application.
Probably on the day that I'm on Sandy Run Road.
Or Edgewood.
Let us know your schedule. We'll do our best to stay away from that time.
No, I just know that there are homes that have already requested to be connected to the sewer line, and this, I don't think they have had.
They're on the east edge of the house there, both of them, the water and the sewer.
Okay. And that's been approved by the sewer authority, that they will allow this connection?
It will be as part of our application, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, I don't have any questions. I'm going to let Peter comment on the wetland buffers maintenance covenant. It's above my pay grade, so that'll be on you, Pete. But no, I think you guys did present a plan with the minimum amount of relief, and quite frankly, I'm less concerned about a 71-foot front setback. I think it's good that you're not disturbing the natural resources. So from my seat, I'm fine unless somebody else on this board raises something that would raise my eyebrows.
Any other board questions right now? We do not appear to have anybody else in the room or anybody online. So to delineate the covenant area, typically we've requested things like a split rail fence and signage. Is that correct, Dan? Or some other form of
Yeah.
way of visualizing where the line is?
Some other form of wayfinding or, yeah.
Are you amenable to that?
Yes.
Jim Majewski just texted me and said a fence at the limit of the wetlands buffer would make sense.
So I was thinking that given, well, actually, because the wetlands buffer basically is the entire perimeter there, and it does kind of line up with the tree line, just basically that line is delineated on the plan. What does the board think of that?
Can you
Idea.
pull that plan up again, Dan?
Yeah, the first one?
Yes.
Yeah, no problem.
First one.
Sorry.
And Pete, repeat what you just said.
That we use that as a suggestion right now for board discussion, use the delineated buffer line that's on the east, west, and south sides as the line for the covenant and for the fencing demarcation wayfinding
So the
for limit of disturbance, basically. You're not going to take your lawn past it
So
or work.
my question is, are they going to be trying to install a fence inside the wooded area? Because I could see that being problematic.
What kind of fence would you be talking about?
I think
Split rail?
across the street, the property across the street was a split rail, which is why I mentioned that, was what we did with them, and that's right up back against the house, so.
On Sandy Run,
On
right?
Sandy
Yeah.
Run, yes. I mean, I think we'll listen to other ideas, but we're looking for something that's substantial enough that people are aware that it's
Easily
there.
enforceable to
Yeah.
show that it's not going to be
Yeah.
disturbed.
So Dan, were you able to establish if that buffer, like, it does run into the wooded area?
In two corners there, I see the point.
Yeah, I guess it depends what type of fence it would be.
Yeah, right there, and
Yeah.
then the bottom corner as well, yeah.
Sorry, I get Mr. Brzezinski's head if I shoot down there.
To be honest, I'm not sure if it would go in the wooded area.
Plus as part of their application, they can make,
Yeah, and
as they
then-
mentioned,
yeah.
they can do some clearing. If they do excessive amount, they owe replanting and the
And then,
rest per the ordinance, correct, Dan?
Correct, and then a fence would probably be a supplemental permit than the house, so we could review that at the time they get a fence permit.
And we would, if we can make a suggestion, I mean, we would be willing, there are areas at the beginning where basically the edge of the woodlands mirrors the buffer, and we can maintain the buffer line, and then the area where it goes into the woods, where theoretically we'd have a couple extra feet, we would surrender that a couple extra feet, I think, to just mirror the edge of the woods there.
Basically run it along the edge of
Correct.
the woods.
And that would be more beneficial to the township, because you'd actually be creating a larger buffer area, but it would make more sense, I think, from a homeowner standpoint, to not have the fence then meander through the woods.
That's good news to me.
I'm not suggesting this, but I'm bringing it up because it's been a topic of discussion when we've looked at some of the other ones, some other applications similar to this, where we've made the suggestion to reduce the front yard setback further to pull the building forward. I'm not proposing we do that, but I'm putting that out there for the other board members' consideration, since we have talked about it on other applications.
I mean, my perspective, Pete, is if like I said, I'm fine with it as it is, but I'm just one board member up here. If it's more important to them as the homeowner to be 71 feet off the ultimate right-of-way as opposed to 61 feet, I would prefer to defer. I would prefer to defer to their wishes, because I'm fine with what you suggested, but I'm also fine with this. I'd like to hear from the other board members.
I'm a little concerned with disturbing the woodlands. I kind of would think if you could move it like closer to Edgewood, it might solve that problem more easily.
It could, Judy. What they did offer right now, and I don't know if you heard it or not, was to follow the buffer zone and provide all of the shown wooded area as restricted.
I think that to me is, I think that's the best way. The question is, how much disturbance would there be to whatever else is there? This isn't this lot is not like a clear lot. I'm concerned, but I see that it's a nice plan. There's no question.
We're okay.
Am I misunderstanding it? I'm thinking what we talked about, even with 71 foot back, the buffer's not going to be disturbed at all. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a reduced buffer, but it's not being disturbed, and they're willing to protect the woodlands.
We're okay. If it's the board's preference, the reason we have a 71-foot front yard setback is to get as close to compliance with the ordinance as we could. If the board wants to make it, just hypothetically, an even 60 feet from the ultimate right-of-way, you get 11 more feet to the rear, you probably save a couple trees, but you get a more usable backyard for the homeowner. And the reality is we're still going to be north of 80 feet from the edge of pavement because of the ultimate right-of-way. So we're fine with that. If that's the pleasure of the board, we move the house up 11 feet. We're comfortable with either iteration of the plan. We think it's a good plan either way.
In my opinion, take your pick.
Yeah.
Okay, well, honestly, what we'd be doing by giving you the allowance for 60 feet, and this is giving you the flexibility to submit what it is you want to submit within that. We're actually giving you more choices. So I'll make a motion to approve Appeal Z 24-16 with a 60-foot minimum.
But wait,
Go ahead.
if you're increasing,
We're allowing them, but we're not increasing the wet buffer in the back.
no, but are you're increasing,
Decreasing the setback, or is that not feasible? Not advertised? In which case, we'll stick with the 70.
If you're increasing the amount of relief, then you would have to re-advertise.
Okay, then we'll stick with the 71, I
Which you
guess.
can do, and then it would just be a quick thing, but you're not getting approval for 3 weeks until August 6th. So,
I would just
which
leave
is
it
fine
at
if you want that.
71.
I'm just noting that if you're increasing, it has to be re-advertised. Because then the front yard setback, yeah, it would be 60 instead of 80, you're saying.
I mean, Brian, what do you want? Would you prefer to move the house up closer and then come back? By the way, I'm not sure 3 weeks is going to work because we just moved somebody onto our agenda and it was discussed of it.
Only
I
in the
think this
sense of
would be-
this would be,
Just
2
bing, bang.
minutes.
Yeah, you are right.
You would have to do it as a formality. You already had the hearing.
If you guys are agreeable with the 71, I'm fine with that. I mean, we do have a good plan,
Okay, it was going to
Okay.
give you more flexibility, all right,
and we'll do your fence,
okay.
It's not our fence, buddy.
All right, make a motion to approve Appeal Z 24-16 to allow a front yard setback of 71 feet and a wetland buffer zone of 30 feet in the back as depicted. The wetland buffer zone and all wooded areas as shown in the plan are to be delineated with a fence and be set as an easement to be protected with the township and to be noted as a not to be disturbed area.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Dan, was that worded appropriately?
Yeah, the easement was good to note, so yeah, that made sense.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries as described, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Are you guys in the mood for a third variance, chicken coop?
That's what the fence was for, right?
Actually, given that they have the rail line right there, I don't think anybody would notice.
No. I just wonder if the chickens would give eggs.
All right, any other business? I noticed that the announcements are getting a little bit wider dispersion on the
Yeah.
list, which is what we were looking for.
The mailers, you mean?
The
Yeah.
public, the notice.
Oh, yeah, we, as a courtesy, we did 200 feet before it gets codified, so, because I know so that was important, so we're doing it.
Can we name the new ordinance the Reese Doctrine? Judy, you were supposed to laugh.
I have no
That
objection to
was, that was giving you a little
I think she.
pat on the back.
I think she froze. All right, so we have a full agenda then for August 6th, and
Yes.
currently nothing scheduled for the
20th.
20th.
So yeah, there's two continuances, the Miller, thanks, Miller and then Krebs that was heard tonight. Two new ones, potentially a third. I think the one that was filed today, 777 Township Line, I spoke to Jim. It may need to be on September 3rd, but we can double check. There might be a conflict on their end, but we'll double check. So at least 4 on August 6th.
Got it.
All right, I guess there's another question. Is Horn going to resubmit?
Sorry?
Is Horn going to resubmit?
No,
No.
no,
Okay.
he withdrew his application.
Was that Taylorsville Road?
No, that was 10 Ivy Lane. The one.
The
that-
one with like the driveway going back and,
No, he was doing an addition to his house.
The one that we kept asking for at the last meeting that wasn't in attendance.
oh, yeah.
Yes, that application got withdrawn.
Okay, hearing no other business, make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.